Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that everybody can hear me. So welcome to this first ever virtual town hall. It's the first one, so please bear with us if we're having any issues. Hopefully things will go somehow smoothly. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join us. Before we start, I just want to give some brief housekeeping notes. So this session is being recorded, but do not worry. The only thing that is recorded is this stage view. So people that will be on stage, your conversation at the tables will remain private. We're not monitoring that. And it's only the people that are on stage that are able to talk to everyone and put their cameras on. But when you are back on your tables a little bit later for the networking part, the remote etiquette is that you do turn your camera on. And if you want to communicate to us while we're presenting, either because you're having some issues or have questions, please use the chat or the Q&A mode. The Q&A mode is what we're going to be using for the question and answer period that we're going to have. So hopefully you have prepared with some questions for us, and feel free to type them in there right away. And you can also vote on the questions that other people are asking so that we know which ones we should have the most interest and should be answering first, because we're hoping to be flooded with questions. Okay, so I think we're ready to start. So we're going to start with introducing the executive committee and the national office and the membership committee. There's obviously other committees and divisions that are equally important, but we had to start somewhere, and we just thought it would start with us. And since I have the mic, I'm going to introduce myself first. So I'm Justina Casveles. I have been appointed as VP of Communication and Membership in January. I grew up in Montreal, and after graduating, I moved to Calgary, mostly because I love the mountains, but 19 years later, I'm still there. And I still love the mountains and can't get enough of them. And one of the things that I find very exciting about being on this national board is to be able to connect with people across all provinces. After having moved from one side of the continent to the other, it's kind of nice to bring everyone back together. And that's one of the things that I want to be able to achieve during my terms, is to really kind of bring all the sections more united. And I think one of the silver linings from what has happened in the last year and a half is that we now are more familiar with the technology. There's a lot more possibilities, and I think we should try to leverage that as much as possible. So my role on the board is twofold. So one part is communication. So I'm supporting the national office with our communications, which are e-news, social media, and the magazine. And the other part is that I support the membership committee that is chaired by David Wood, and you will hear from him a little bit later about all the initiatives and member engagement. So I'm very interested in what you guys have to say, any questions you have, anything that you would like us to see do. So I hope that when we're having the networking session, you'll join me at my table and we can have a chat. So that's, I think, enough about me. I will pass the proverbial mic to Ian Moore, our president.
Thanks very much, Justina. It's wonderful to be here at our first town hall, and I thought I'd start by just thanking Justina, Will, and the other people who are supporting technology this event. It's a wonderful initiative. It was Justina's idea, bravo, and it's really wonderful to be here as the CGS president. I'm almost 6 months into my 2-year term as president. I'm really enjoying it. One of the things that I'm enjoying is working with the 3 wonderful VPs that have agreed to provide lots of volunteer hours and their skill set over the next, again, another 18 months, I guess. So they've also got to run in their VP positions. And I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody in person in Niagara in the fall. I'm appreciating the virtual experience. That's a wonderful alternative. But I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody in person in the fall. I'd also like to just recognize the excellent support that we're getting from Michelle, Lisa, and Emily as we're sort of learning to do our jobs as the president and the VPs. So that's about all I'm going to say, except to say that I'm talking to you today from Kingston, and that my home is overrun by caterpillars. Literally thousands and thousands of caterpillars. If I go out on my deck to say barbecue or something, I'll have them just falling on me from the trees. And I hope you guys are escaping the caterpillar infestation wherever you are in Canada. It's perhaps not so good to be in this part of. Anyway, I think, should I introduce Mamadou next, Justina? Is that where I should go next? That's what I'll do. Anyway, I'll introduce Mamadou Fall. Mamadou's our VP Tech, and I'll pass the baton over to him. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. For me, it is a pleasure for me to work with this team, with the CGS team. We have great people in CGS. It is a pleasure to work for me. And I thank Justina for this great idea. And from my personal point of view, I come from Senegal. I was born in Dakar. Dakar is the capital of Senegal. Dakar is like an island. Therefore, I like the sea. Now I grew up there, and after I moved to Germany to do my graduate study and my PhD, work a little bit in Germany, and after I moved to Canada. And here I'm professor in geotechnical engineering at the University of Ottawa, and I have been involved in CGS, attending the CGS conference, meeting the people for almost 2 decades. In my view, CGS is an excellent organization. Even in Germany, people know very well the excellent work of Canadian geotechnical engineers. And my role in CGS here is as VP Technical. VP Technical has a wide range of responsibility and duties, like working with the president, working with the executive director, as well as the CGS office to develop the CCLT. CCLT is a very successful program. Canadian cross-lecture tools invite very known experts in this field, and they will give lecture at different cities in Canada. And as well as working with the executive director to develop, and the conference chair to develop the MOU for conference. And as you know, every year we have the Canadian Geotechnical Conference, which is also a very successful and one of the most successful geotechnical conference I know, and to develop an MOU, and so that we can run a successful conference. And right now, CGS is working on developing the 5th edition of the Canadian Foundation Engineering Manual, which is also one of the success of CGS. And in many countries, people are using this manual as a textbook, or the engineer, practitioner engineer are using this manual. That only show that how strong the Canadian Geotechnical Society is. Now, CGS also is involved in many conferences. I have to keep CGS informed about the progress of those conferences. That may be the CGS National Conference. We are also involved in Hazard Conference, Geo Congress, and I have to keep CGS involved. And CGS is organizing every year many awards. I'm involved in many award committees and to select some awards winners, and as well as keep CGS informed about the cross-Canada lecture as well as the colloquium lectures. Just I have 1 minute, but I'm very pleased to work with the DPs, work also with Michelle as well as Lisa and Emily in the CGS Canadian Geotechnical Committee. Thank you. Now I think next I maybe introduce Andrea, who is the VP Finance. Maybe she can say a few words.
Hi, I'm Andrea Lougheed. I'm the VP of Finance for CGS, responsible and accountable for the financial management of the society. I'm very honored to be doing this position and working with the national office, Ian, Justina, and the rest of the EC committee. I am Harold from Vancouver, went to Queens for my master's, and being the West Coast wussy that I am, couldn't take the winters, and so fled back to the temperate West Coast with my mountains that I love to hike in. So I've been involved with the CGS for several years now, starting at the local society local section, and then helping out with the National Society for the last couple of years. It's a great honor, and I would love to talk to you more about the finances or how to get involved with CGS.
So is it my turn, Justina?
Yeah, sorry. Michelle, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm Michel Bertin. I'm the executive director of the CGS, and we have a few slides to show over the next few minutes to highlight some of the points I'll be making. I first have to apologize for the background, which is my small office at home. I've got an old computer that I'm using today. I've got the newer one, but it's taken somewhere else. And someone on this meeting knows what I'm talking about the use of the other computer. So I'm working, I'm responsible partly for the affairs of the national office. I'm working with Lisa Rennie, who's the Director of Communications and Society Operations. Lisa will be saying, a few words in a few sec. And also with Emily Fournier, who's the Coordinator of Communications and Member Services. These are the members of the national office. As you see, it's a small team. And I'm based in Montreal, and Lisa and Emily are based in Vancouver. Montreal, by the way, as you may recall, is still the only team still playing hockey at this time. And I will not be dwelling too much on this fact at this point. On the next slide, I recall that CGS operates really with the support of its members across the country. And most of the work, really the vast majority of the work being done by CGS is performed by volunteers. These include, of course, the members of the executive committee that some of them have been introduced already to you, the 3 VPs and 3 reps. I will have a few photos to show. The members of the board of directors that meet once a year, the section chairs and the local members, and of course, members of divisions, committees, and the technical research board, the GRB. The national office is really there to support the work of its members, mainly through the support provided and the interactions with the members of the executive committee and also members of the board of directors. And also we interact with a lot of other organizations within Canada and around the world. It should be said that CGS has no employee. Lisa and Emily are working for Carmelink. I work for a small company. So the way it's managed is through affiliation agreements, contractual agreements with these small entities. Next slide. So you have already seen Ian, Mamadou, Andrea, and Justina. To this team of members of the executive committee are include also Thomas Paps, who's the technical division representative, Bill Singh, who's a section rep, and Vincent Castonguay, who's the young professional rep. And they're attending this meeting. You will be able to chat with them later on. And these are the main ones to which we provide regular support, as I mentioned previously. On the next slide, you will see a sketch of the organization of CGS, starting at the top with the president, the VPs, and also the reps on the executive committee. This sketch is not entirely up to date because the technical division rep is also now responsible for the committees, following a change that was implemented 2 years ago. So Thomas is also in charge of coordinating the activities, not only of technical divisions, but also of most of the committees. But this is the core of what is being done. And we have also interactions with the past president, with the upcoming president-elect that will start next year. And also we have close interactions with the Canadian Society of Civil Engineering and other entities like the EIC. We produce a magazine, we produce e-news, and we have other platforms on social media, which we can discuss at length later on during the meeting. On the next slide, I will leave this to Lisa, who will express the relationships we have with many other organizations. Lisa.
Okay. Hello, everyone. The CGS, as most of you know, has many relationships with other societies and associations. And when we list them all out here, it's a really good thing to share because we have cooperation agreements with a lot of them. We offer reciprocal second society memberships, which a lot of you take advantage of. We share joint awards, we sometimes share conferences, and we just generally support each other's initiatives and we share ideas. Some of these groups we have formal agreements, formal MOUs with. Others we just work with and help out supporting each other with different initiatives like advertising our conference and that kind of thing. So that's that. And as Michelle mentioned, I'm the Director of Communications and Society Operations. And we look after so many things. It's basically the day-to-day administration of the society. So membership renewal, working very closely with, obviously, the executive committee. Emily and I work very closely with Michelle and support him in different functions. And yeah, I won't go through all the details, but and then I'll leave it to Emily to say a little quick hello.
Hello. As Michelle and Lisa mentioned, I'm the coordinator of communications and member services, and I help Lisa and Michelle with a lot of what she mentioned, the day-to-day administration. And then just a quick note, if anybody ever has questions for the national office, a really good email to reach us at is info@cgs.ca. So you have questions, comments, anything like that, send it off to us, and Lisa and I will take care of the answer for you.
Yeah, perfect. Back to you, Michelle.
Yeah, and on the last slide, I tried to summarize my role as executive director. I've been a member of CGS for more than 40 years, and I played different roles along these years, including president in 2009, 2010. I was a VP finance. I was chair of the rock mechanics division, GRB, the mining geotechnique committee, and I participated in various ways. And I've always enjoyed the relationships established, the work that we've done through the CGS. As I mentioned, this is really, the success of CGS is really related to the contributions of volunteers. My role is really to provide support to the mainly to the president and the VPs and help organize various activities. And I will not be reviewing all of these tasks. What you should know probably is that I'm working part-time. I'm supposed to be spending less than 2 days a week, 10 months a year. I'm also doing work at Polytechnique, where I'm professor emeritus, still supervising some PhDs and postdoctoral fellows. So I'm available on a regular basis, but not all the time. So if you have questions, you can reach me by email and reach me through the national office. And that's about all I will be saying today. These slides, again, will be posted on the website if you want to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone. So I hope that now that you can put some faces on names and you know a little bit about us, we'll feel more approachable, and you'll feel free to reach us about anything, any concerns, or if you want to be part of all the volunteers that we have. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce you to David Wood, who is the chair of the membership committee.
Yes. I think I'm here. Am I here, Justina?
Yes, you are.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the invitation to come and take part in this this first workshop here in the town hall meeting. I know that Ian mentioned of caterpillars around where he is. I happen to be in Parry Sound in Ontario right now, and I've just spent a couple of days doing work on the railroad track, and what we've seen a lot of is turtles. So I've come across 3 Blandings turtles, 2 box turtles, 1 snapper, and 4 little small painted turtles. So I'm on turtle mode at the moment. The membership committee has a number of participants in there. Justina is one of the members, who is also VP Communication. We have 2 members of the group here Vincent Castonguay from the University of Laval, and I think he's going to be coming on somewhere. He can introduce himself in a moment or two. We've also got Rami Saad-Eldin from OPG. There are two other members of the committee, Catherine Dompierre and Julie Tarien. And they are not able to be with us right now, but if Rami, could you say a couple of words and followed by Vincent?
Sure. Thanks, David. And I'm very happy to be here today with all of you. And I joined the society back in 2010, a year after I moved to Canada from Egypt. I joined the membership committee in 2017. I'll be joining the group that will be talking about the opportunities for volunteering, and it's a very interesting topic. So let's talk about it openly after the conference. Thanks.
And I'm Vincent Castonguay. I did my studies in Quebec City, where I live. And after my PhD, I joined Sequent in the Geoslope engineering group, where I've been working since. And I'm the young professional representative on the executive committee, as well as a member of the membership committee. And really enjoying the work that we do in the membership committee. And I'm really glad to be part of this experiment that we're doing today. So don't hesitate to join me in the Young Professional table just later on in this town hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. The mandate of the membership committee is to promote the CGS to current and future members, to survey and assess member expectations, to explore and analyze new initiatives, increase interest in volunteering, and monitor and increase membership renewal. That means we are to boldly go where nobody else is going to go and try and get people to become members. I suppose one of the most interesting parts of this was that there was a member data and survey report carried out in 2019, and a number of the committee members were involved in that. I was not on the committee at the time. And the specific tasks that came out of this that looked in terms of where we can go in the future are to understand and market the value of being a CGS member, to promote and encourage volunteering, to improve communications by being closer to our members, and this is something obviously that Justine is very heavily involved with, to encourage young professionals to become or stay CGS members, to increase conversion of local members to national groups, and to increase the number of members we get. These topics may be useful as you're thinking of asking some questions. So please do go to the Q&A section here and type in questions that you can ask of any of us as we go through this. And I'd just like to give a quick example of some of our initiatives to increase our membership. We consider carrying out a joint event with Professional Engineers Ontario in Sudbury and have a webinar together. And once we got started on this, it expanded to include CGS members and PEO members in Sudbury, Timmins, and in Thunder Bay. And instead of just having a handful of attendees for a lunchtime gathering, we had 65 participants from Northern Ontario, but we also had members from Southern Ontario, from British Columbia, and we happened to have a couple of people heading from Austria who came to join us, which of course was a great surprise. So this type of exposure gives us a lot of opportunities for membership drives and so on. So that's where we all come from. You'll probably notice from my voice that I'm not from around here either. My degrees are from Great Britain. I've been in Canada now since 1973, although it does sound like I got off the ferry just a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, Justina. That's who the membership committee is. And I believe that I'm going to stay around here and we're going to move into the Q&A session. Is that what's going to happen?
Correct. So if you, I see we don't have a lot of questions yet, so please type in your questions in the Q&A box. And did I have any other things to say about that? No, I think, yeah, just type in the questions and vote, and we'll bring some folks back on the stage so that we can all answer the first questions.
I think what we might do if we're waiting for a question, and we've got a few questions coming up here, let's leave that a couple of minutes to sort of some ideas going. But for example, I would like to ask Vincent, are there easier ways to communicate with the young professional members? I mean, younger professionals are a great group to get on side. How do we communicate with them?
Thanks, David. That's a great question, and it's not an easy question as well. There are multiple ways in which I guess we can reach out to specifically to the young. And we've discussed that a few times with the EC over the years, and mainly we've been going through our existing social media platforms and trying not to duplicate the effort and the work that we do with this with the existing platforms by maybe creating some additional channels just for young professionals. We try to avoid that to mainstream to keep the message more clearer. Some of the things that we've been thinking of recently and that has been brought up by some members are things that we are looking at currently. Some things have been proposed to us, like forums or additional social media platforms that would encourage discussion, some things like that. And we are aware of these things, and we are thinking about them. So I can certainly receive new suggestions if people have some, and we'll be happy to consider them and be aware that we are actively thinking about these things.
Thank you, Vincent. I see that the question that's getting a lot of marks here at the moment, the upticks, is CGS membership. So, Michelle, maybe you can tell us at the moment how the membership is going, or how many members we've got. How's that compared to last year, COVID year, and so on?
Yeah. Well, thank you, David. Typically, our membership would be between 1,200 and 1,400 members. These include different categories: regular members, student members, retired members, international members. Last year was a bit low given the situation with the pandemic situation. This year it's picking up. It looks good, and with the conference, the upcoming conference, and people registering ahead of the conference, we expect to reach the typical goal of close to 1,400. What's interesting about this is that number hasn't changed that much over the last 20 years. We've got a fun fact about this is that our annual conference participation is typically between 500 and 800, sometimes a bit higher, a bit lower, but this represents between a third and a half of our membership, which is, if you compare it to other similar organizations, is a lot. Typically in the US, for instance, it would be less than 10% of the members attending the Geo Institute conference. So our numbers, as far as the number of members, is not that great, that large, but the participation in our activities is really what stands out in our view.
And I can maybe just add to that, because I have the latest number from Lisa. Today we have 1,135 members. 1,135.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to both of you. Let's go back over to the list of questions here. The top one at the moment is the CGS going to continue organizing online presentations nationally when COVID is over? I think this is a really interesting topic. I know that all of us have spent more time in this last year online than anywhere else, and that the technologies, I mean, this remote technology, I was introduced to it by just a week ago, was it? I mean, we did a couple of dry runs and I had no idea at all about this technology, and Ian's very familiar with it. It's been used a lot around at Queen's, and it was just amazing. With Will's help, we kind of juggled through and slipped up here and there. But I mean, I think this idea of moving into more virtual things is very important. Maybe Ian could have a little chat about that.
I'm not sure I'm the
best person to speak to that, but I think that so we've actually community quite a few years.
So, for example, when I had the honor of giving the cross-Canada
lecture tour in October of 2019, I believe it was, a number of the presentations I made were broadcast. As people have become aware with how as the technology, it used to be quite challenging to figure out how to broadcast. Now it can be as simple as just starting up a Facebook stream or something. It's quite straightforward. I think that there's going to be a role for this. That our hunger for in-person meetings is going to be significant, and so it's going to be scaled back. But yeah, what would somebody like to speak about the plans for the fall Canadian Geotechnical Conference? Because there's some plans to actually have some of the fall conference, some of the major things like the colloquium, of course, the Hardy lecture and so on, streamed in the fall, I believe. Would you like to speak to that, Michelle?
Well, I think Lisa is in the best position because she's
right. Good point.
Partly in charge of organizing the actual conference. So Lisa, maybe you can say a few words about this, if she is not too far away.
Unfortunately, the limitations of REMA that we can only have 8 people on stage.
So maybe, yeah. So at this point, it's still uncertain because we believe it will be an in-person event, and that's the hope of all the local organizing committee and the executive committee. But there are still some options on the table to look at the virtual components. So the decision will be made during the summer. So for now, it's organized as if it will be an in-person event in Niagara Falls. As far as other events, we certainly will continue to have some online events that will be offered. The Cross Canada lecture tour is available, is videotaped, and some of these presentations have been available on the CGS website, as are the Hardy lectures and colloquium lectures, and there are quite a few of these lectures available on the CGS website. I'm sure there will be plenty of other events that will be taking place to webinar platforms and other types of virtual components in the future. We still have to go through the actual situation with the pandemic still ongoing, and we'll see for sure next year when we go over this hurdle how we can best use these new tools available to us.
If I can just maybe add to that. So this event, this town hall, is a little bit of a guinea pig event to see if people are interested in it or not. So again, your feedback will be really welcome. But back to what I was saying as part of my introduction, I think it's great to be able to bring everybody together across different provinces. And I want to work with the sections to kind of share the events that they're having. And of course, this will never replace the in-person. The in-person networking is still fantastic, and I know that we all miss it, but at the same time, this can just be something that we do in addition, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to continue that.
Well, I think this is a really good segue to move into Jennifer's 2 questions here. Is a directory roster possible? The idea would be to increase visibility and communication between members outside of CGS events, which of course is the same sort of topic. And then the second part of this was to have a membership directory roster to be included in the My CGS section of the website. So they're kind of related, and the idea, I think, is to increase exposure in a number of ways to try to bring this out further. Now we can take this further with Jennifer in the table session afterwards, but could you comment on that at the moment, Michelle, about whether or not we can get rosters and so on worked out? Is that possible?
Yes, again, Lisa would be in a better position to deal with this because this is really what she's taking care of. But at this time, the website includes the entire list of the board of directors, the members of the board of directors, that is the section directors, chairs for divisions and committees, the member of the EC, and so on. So this is available already. As far as a more general roster of the membership, This would have to be discussed with the EC and the board of directors, because there is some, at this point, there are some, part of the information is not in the public domain. So we would have to make sure that what is being distributed is done in agreement with all the members. And because the permission was not asked in the past, this was not made available to all the members, even though section chairs and members of the EC and the board can have access to most of this information. So this could be put on the table for an upcoming meeting of the board and see how it can be done. Maybe not with all the information, but part of it. This is certainly an option that could be discussed.
Good, thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting topic because I know it's been brought up in our membership committee a couple of times as well. Maybe I could ask Andrea to step up to the plate here. And you'd mentioned that you were very interested in helping to get people involved. So what would be your suggestions for getting people involved at the moment, Andrea?
Well, it depends on what you want to be involved with, but you can reach out. This is to answer Ali's message here. What's the procedure to join a different committees or divisions? You can reach out to the chairs of those different committees and divisions. The entire list of, or contacts for the list of the board of directors is on the CGS website. You can go under board of directors and you can email the different chairs and they should be able to get you involved. If you're a young professional, you can reach out to Vincent. There's also the Young Professionals Conference, and they're always looking for volunteers. Another good way to get involved is get involved in your local section. That's where many of us started our journey with the CGS, is at the local section, and then we've moved upwards from there, getting more involved as we learn about the society a little more. So those are some different ways that you can get involved. And a lot of us will be happy if you reached out to us, and great, always great to spread the work around.
And the next question pops up there. What's a good way for undergrad students to get involved with the CGS? Vincent, would you like to pick that one up?
Yep. And to echo Andrea's comments, I think I followed the same path, starting from the local section and then learning and becoming more and more involved. And I think for undergrads, a new option that we have that can be, that can be used in conjunction with being involved at the local level, the local CGS section, is the CGS. Sorry, I'm forgetting the names.
Student chapters.
Student chapters. Thank you, Andrea, saving me there. The CGS student chapters are chapters that are spread around the country. There are currently 8 active student chapters, so chances are that there's one not so far from you, and we are actively working in starting new chapters in other cities where a lot of the students are already located. So I think that's an awesome way to know more about the society at the undergrad level, and that's exactly why they exist. So that's a great way to get involved first.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. Justina, how are we doing for time?
I think we're time. So maybe I would suggest that we end here and move into the networking.
We'll do one more for Mamadou here, because this one about the foundation manual, the engineering foundation manual, is something that I think is on a lot of people's minds. And I don't know that we need to know who the chapter leads and how they were selected, but I'd like to get an update on what's going on with the foundation manual, and particularly with some input on a French version.
Yeah, thank you, David. The foundation manual is going well. We have each month a meeting to talk about the progress. The manual will include 24 chapters that cover the whole geotechnical field. I will not say the whole chapter leads, but I can give a couple of examples. We have one chapter about permafrost, climate change in Canada, and this chapter will be led by Van Dyne. We have one chapter about the settlement and deformation, and will be led by Dr. Felenius. We have chapter about frost action. We have Dr. Jean-Marie Corrant from Laval will lead this chapter. And we have chapter about Charlotte Foundation, Dr. Brahman. It's going well. Now we are planning by the end of next year, we will have all chapter published. And how another question related how the lead author was selected. The Canadian Geotechnical Society decided in 2014 to have a 5th edition of the Canadian Foundation Engineering Manual, because the 4th edition was very successful. 5,000 copies was printed. And in 2014, a committee was built, and the committee was led by the president of the CGS at that time was Dr. Baker. And they have a committee, and how they decide to select the lead author. Now, things and people have been working on developing the 5th edition of the Canadian Geotechnical Society. And we are very, very confident that by the end of next year, we will have the manual published. Now, after publication of the English version, also there is a plan also to have a French version of the Canadian Foundation Engineering Manual.
Good. Thank you very much indeed, Mamadou. Justina, I think we've probably run the Q&A system into the ground for our first virtual town hall. So I'll pass it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for moderating. Thank you, everyone, for asking the questions. I think this was great to hear what you guys are interested in. So I'm now going to end the presentation mode. So you will all be sent back to the tables where you were. But it's totally socially acceptable to switch tables, so don't feel like it's rude. There are some of the tables that are labeled for all of the VPs and the national office, and kind of if there are special interests that you wanted to discuss, or you can just go to free tables and chat with whoever you would like to. But before I do that, just in case everybody's not there when we come back, I want to say a huge thank you to Will Smith and Moira Guo, for helping us. You have not seen their faces, but have been in the background helping us organizing all this and doing the techie stuff. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.